30 seconds and counting.
There were plenty of years where there were guys who would dread being drafted by the Buffalo Bills. Not anymore.
Astronauts report it feels good. T-minus 25 seconds.
Brandon Beane realizes they're in a window of 2 to 3 years max to get this done while the iron's still hot. And getting Von Miller into that situation was big for the Bills.
10, 9.
Oh, baby.
Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Great interview, guys.
Oh, baby. What is up, Buffalo Fanatics? Z-Bot here with you. Live on the Buffalo Fanatics YouTube channel on a Monday night. And that, of course, can only mean one thing. It is the smoke break. So good to have you in this evening, fresh off another great weekend of sports. Kentucky Derby. Josh Allen was there with Eric Wood, Brandon Beane. He was looking good, wasn't he? J.A. had on that peach cream-colored suit jacket with the slick back, grown out hair. J.A.'s ready for MVP season, baby. He's ready to rock. Derby was this weekend. I swear, man, Florida Panthers are winning the cup. You heard it here first. I can't get over those guys. They're up 3-0 on the Toronto Maple Leafs. What is going on there? Could have been the Sabres. Should have been the Sabres. NBA's been good. Been digging it. But, of course, all we care about once we get into this time of the year is when is the NFL? When is it? How many days till kickoff? Well, we will know just a little bit more about when's kickoff, what night is kickoff, and who is it going to be against this coming Thursday. That's right, folks. The schedule release, which I think is one of the more underrated days of the year on the NFL calendar, is this coming Thursday, May 11th. And I'm super excited to see, for a schedule in which I find to be pretty damn difficult this coming year for the Bills, I'm excited to see how it's laid out, who we play when, and, of course, how many primetime games the Bills end up getting and who they are against. This year is going to be a bit different than any other year because the max amount of primetime games each team can play has now been elevated from 5 to 6. Soon, it'll be elevated to 7 with the new TV deals that the NFL had just striked either last year or 2 years ago. They had just re-signed their contracts with the networks and the streaming platforms. And with that came an increase in primetime games. And as we know, the Bills have maxed out the last couple of seasons. The Bills have been one of the best teams in the NFL as far as ratings are concerned the past couple of seasons. And so I thought it'd be fun tonight, before we get a real look at the actual schedule this coming Thursday, if we were to go through tonight beforehand and predict what I think to be what the Bills' schedule will look like to some degree this coming Thursday. Now, this one tonight is going to be a bit shorter of a smoke break than usual, and here's why. Tonight, we're going to do predictions. That's it. We're going to predict what I think the schedule is going to look like on Thursday, how many primetime games, who are they going to play in primetime, any specialty games, perhaps Thanksgiving again. Might have that in my predictions tonight. Of course, the Bills play in London this year. Got to find a way to squeeze that in. But the reason tonight's going to be shorter is this is part 1 of part 2 smoke break this week. On Thursday night, I'm going to do another smoke break with you right here on the Buffalo Fanatics YouTube channel. And we are going to, in real time, watch the schedule release together, get the Buffalo Bills 2023 schedule together, and then immediately get into it. Break down each week, take a look at who the Bills are playing in which primetime games at what point of the year. We're going to get into it in depth. So tonight, going to go through real quick, make some predictions, and then Thursday night, we're right back at it right here. We're going to get right into the schedule the second it's released, wasting no time checking out what the Bills' schedule is going to look like for 2023. I am very, very excited for Thursday, and I hope you join me right back here on Thursday night as we dive into the schedule together, because like I said, that is the night, in my opinion, where the juices really start getting flowing. Because if you think about it, right, by the time Thursday rolls around, it's May 11th. You're already a third of the way through the month. Once you hit June, now we're talking training camp, right? Now we're really getting into the flow of things here. You're going to blink, man. The summer always flies by, and that pigskin's going to be getting kicked off, baby. And I can't wait. These months have been going by at a rapid pace. It's going to be June before you know it. I can't even believe what's going on. The fact that summer's already here. I do a lot of traveling in the summer. I go to a lot of concerts and stuff. And it literally just hit me that we're pretty much in summertime now. And I've always felt my whole life that as soon as we get to summer, that means football is right around the corner. And I think the real indicator of that will be Thursday night when we get to really get a look at what we have to look forward to this coming season. So let's waste no time doing it. Let's get into this tonight. So what we're going to do is we're just going to go through, as you can see here on my sheet, I have the 2023 opponents in a graphic right here on the document. And then I'm going to go through here, and I want you guys to join in with me in the comments section. Give me your thoughts as to what you think could be a surprise for the Buffalo Bills when it comes to the schedule this season that you might want to have me include in this. Let me know how many primetime games you think the Bills are going to wind up having this coming season. You think it's going to be the same where they get maxed out? Do you think they're going to go up to 6 from 5 to hit that new maximum? Do you think they scale back a bit? I highly doubt it. The one thing I think will be different this year is that we're going to see some primetime games for the Bills this year. At least one. I think you know where I'm going with it. We're going to see at least one primetime game this year that you wouldn't have fathomed. And it's funny because this used to be the one primetime game, or at least it felt that way. This used to be the one primetime game the Bills would get every other year or so before they got good. As you remember, I'm sure, the colorblind game when the Bills and the Jets faced off on Thursday Night Football. Bills wore the all-red color rush. The Jets wore the all-green. It was the infamous colorblind game. And I look back at that date often, not because it was the colorblind game. I look back at that date often because it always reminds me of how little my expectations were for the Bills. I remember being in college at the time with my good buddies from Buffalo, and we were watching in the dorm room. And it was funny because my buddy Nate is actually colorblind. So that was the first moment where I realized that was an actual thing when it came to that game. Then you went on Twitter and everybody was talking about it, but it was funny actually being with someone who could not decipher who the Bills were at any given moment. But I remember the Bills winning that game, and we went nuts. We were running around campus. We were so stoked. And to think back at the fact that was something worth running around campus and being over the moon excited about is extraordinary to me when you think back on it. Because it really wasn't all that long ago. At least it doesn't feel like it. I know it probably is by now. Let's see, what was that, 2016, 2017? So yeah, 6-7 years ago. I mean, it's not like it was forever ago. It's not like it was yesterday either. But in that time frame, I'm just saying I can't imagine busting out of the dorm rooms and running around my campus with my buddies celebrating a Bills win in primetime over the New York Jets. What I'm getting at is I think this year we are going to see those Buffalo Bills and those New York Jets back in primetime squaring off against one another, this time under different circumstances. Because back then, the Bills didn't have much going on. The Jets certainly didn't have much going on. Now, you can argue both teams got a lot going on. Bills have had it going their way for the last several seasons, and of course, that's going to be why they'll be in primetime often this year. But do not be surprised, and I think you already know this is coming, do not be surprised when Thursday rolls around and the New York Jets have the maximum amount of primetime games available to any given team. I would bet any amount of money on it that the New York Jets, come Thursday night, it will be announced that they have bare minimum 5 primetime games, more than likely 6. The NFL is not going to waste an opportunity to capitalize on one of the biggest markets in the entire league that has not been worthy of being put on primetime as of late. You mix that with the Aaron Rodgers situation, of course. He's already polarizing and must-see TV to begin with. You combine those two in an AFC where nearly every single team brings you to a television. It makes a lot of sense. This is in my opinion, a rental for the New York Jets that's going to last maximum 2 seasons. For all we know, it could be 1 season, depending on how this year goes. The NFL is going to waste no time in squeezing every last ounce of that exposure that the Jets are going to get from New York, from Aaron Rodgers this coming season. So let's start there, because I got to be honest with you. I'm almost willing to guarantee the New York Jets are on primetime week 1. Aaron Rodgers has been one of the biggest offseason stories, not only this past season, but the last couple of seasons. He's been one of the biggest as far as single player is concerned. And then you mix in just the constant drama. Has there been anybody talked about more in the NFL than Aaron Rodgers? And now he's finally on the new team. That, of course, that deal gets inked last week, 2 weeks ago. That's a done deal. The NFL is going to want to put that on display week 1. I just know it. I can already see it. Why not set the tone of the new look AFC East and have the Bills, who are a primetime darling, a media rating darling, why not set the tone and have the Bills square off against those Jets week 1 in primetime? Now, I'll just get this out of the way right now. In this particular scenario, I'm going to have the Bills maxing out at 6 primetime games. There's no reason to think that they won't get that. Not only have their ratings been incredible, most of the time when they're in primetime, they're great games. Josh Allen often plays his best in primetime. And when you look at the Bills' schedule right here, you can easily find 6 primetime games in here. You could argue even more if it was allowed. You could really argue every single away game outside of the Washington Commanders game would be worthy of a primetime game. The Bills and the Patriots have played in primetime several times throughout the last couple of seasons. The Bills and the Chiefs have been in primetime every single time they've had each other on the schedule the last couple of seasons. The Eagles are coming off of a Super Bowl berth, and they could be better this year than they were last year. The Bengals, of course, that's become a new rival for the Bills that seems as tough, if not tougher, perhaps, than the Kansas City Chiefs. I just mentioned as to why the Jets will be in that mix. The Chargers, of course, they're in primetime all the time with their star power on offense. And then, of course, the Dolphins. I think we'll see them in primetime more just because they have Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle. They're a team that everybody loves to talk about. You could really make an argument for all of these away games outside of the Washington Commanders being a primetime game. But, of course, that won't happen. We got to fit some of these home ones in there as well. But you look at this, and you see it as well as I do. Cowboys, right? Broncos, potentially. Jacksonville's going to be a hell of a game. So there's tons of options in there. But I think right off the bat here, I'm going to go out on a limb and say week 1 and it's going to be in New York, I think. They're going to want to do the primetime game with Rodgers and the Jets. They're going to want it in New York. So my bold prediction for week 1 of the NFL season for the Buffalo Bills is going to be Bills versus, actually, I don't need to write Bills because we know who's playing. But it's going to be at the New York Jets primetime. Now, we know it won't be the Thursday night, of course, because that's going to be the Eagles. You could make the argument the opening game of the year could be Bills-Eagles. Here's why I don't see that. The Bills were the opening game last year, and I don't know if they want to do that again back-to-back years. It would make sense. I get it. It would be a hell of a way to open up the season. But when you're dealing with the NFC East, I think it's going to make more sense for the Eagles to play either the Cowboys potentially, maybe even the Giants. You just maximize on that viewership with the NFC East. And when you have the Eagles in that opening slot, wait, hold on. I'm talking out of turn here. The Chiefs are going to be in the opening spot. What am I saying? I'm acting like, see, I was so convinced the Eagles were going to win that Super Bowl that here I am even like convincing myself months later that they did. So let's go back a pace. The Eagles will not be in that opening game. The Kansas City Chiefs will. And now I might want to eat my words a bit because that would make a lot of sense. Here's the thing, though. Here's where I'm trying to put logic together with the NFL's thinking. Bills Chiefs inevitably is going to be a primetime game. The NFL's probably sitting there thinking, why would we make Bills Chiefs week 1 primetime opening game when that game is already going to be one of the highest viewed games of the entire season, no matter when we play it? They'd almost be wasting that. If you had a deck of cards, that'd be one of your best cards in your deck. There's no point in showing your best card on your first play because everybody knows that week 1, you could literally, the first game of the year on Thursday night primetime, you could throw out, I don't know, you could throw out the Houston Texans versus the Washington Commanders, and that's still going to get an absolute ridiculous rating. Caroline just got home. She scared the shit out of me. I thought we were being robbed. Oh, my God. What happened? Caroline's been playing. She's been a hero all day. Caroline's a NICU surgeon. What did you say? Oh, did I just say NICU surgeon? No, she's a NICU nurse. Imagine you were a NICU surgeon. I'd be like, oh, here she comes, fresh off her shift. No, she's got a few years till she graduates, still surgeon. We're still waiting on that pay bump. Believe me, I'm waiting on that surgeon degree to come in. No, either way though, just as important, of course. NICU nurse, and you were saying? Okay, we want to send prayers to Caroline's baby that she was taking care of today. So it's crazy. These babies that Caroline takes care of, they're in the NICU is what you call it, right? The NICU. They're born way premature. Some of them weigh like a pound. Like at birth, it's insane. They're the size of a literal Coke can. And Caroline's job all day long is to, make sure these babies are able to maintain life, I guess, until they're back to being healthy. It's a wild, wild job. And Caroline just said one of her babies is going into what? Surgery later later tonight. So we will send prayers. All the Bills community will. Yeah, I don't know how she does it. That's a tough job. It would be real tough for me to leave that at the door. That's a really tough gig. But God bless them. They have the best in the business, and Mrs. Caroline, she is the best. Speaking of the best, Buffalo Bills football. You already know it. So back to what I was saying. I can't really remember. I remember what I was saying. So sorry for the departure. Getting back on track. Yeah, they're not going to show that card. That game's going to get one of the best viewings of the year, no matter when it's played. My guess, you wait a bit, at least a few weeks into the season before you show Bills Chiefs. So I'm assuming the Chiefs are going to play, they're still going to play a top tier opponent. You don't want to send out, a dog shit team to go play the Chiefs and have them wallop on them week 1. But I don't think that they do a Bills Chiefs or a Bills or a Chiefs Bengals. I just don't see it. So Thursday night, we already know not the Eagles, the Chiefs will be playing somebody. I would imagine there will be a Sunday night game that would involve the Eagles. That would make sense, I think, coming off of the year that they had and then the draft that they had. Obviously, it seems every year an NFC East team is inevitably going to be week 1 primetime just because of the draw. Why not Eagles? I could see them playing the Cowboys week 1. Here's where I think the Bills might slide into a week 1 primetime slot on Monday Night Football against the New York Jets. And I got to tell you guys, if that comes out on Thursday, I know you can't see it because the camera's small, but I just got goosebumps saying that out loud. If that comes out on the schedule this Thursday and we're together doing the show, you're gonna see a big grin on my face because that will be an incredible way to kick off the year. So that's how I think it's going to start. Bills at Jets, prime time, welcoming Aaron Rodgers to the Meadowlands. I can't think of a better way to start the year. So that's one prime time. I'll put a little one next to that because that means we got one prime time game already in the books. All right, now we're moving on to week 2. Now let's take a look. So we start off on the road. And I think we're gonna transition into a home game. Now, if you remember last year, it seemed like it took a bit for the Bills to get an AFC East game under their belt. It was kind of delayed more than it typically, or at least that it seemed to be in the past. It felt as though the Bills would always play their, at least one AFC East game the first couple of games of the season. That didn't happen last year. So that's another reason why I think the Jets squeeze in there. Week 2 here, let's go to a home game. And let's take a look here. So, by the way, if you don't remember the Bills' opponents this year, and just looking at this schedule, I mean, I understand, and I've gotten arguments about this with people, and I think we've even had this argument on here before. There's some of you guys who don't look at this schedule to be awfully daunting. I personally do. The Broncos are going to be better than last year. I just don't see how they couldn't be. Russell Wilson's not going to be that bad again. Sean Payton's the coach now. They're healthier this year. Just don't see it. The Raiders are always a tough out. I think Jimmy Garoppolo is a more than capable quarterback. I know he gets a lot of shit. I like Jimmy Garoppolo. I think the Raiders got good pieces. That game, I think it's tougher than meets the eye. Cowboys, I personally don't struggle with the thought of playing the Cowboys, but we all know what they have at their disposal. And if they can click it on, we know they can be a great team. The question is, can they kick it on? We know how inconsistent the Cowboys can be, and the Bills have had their number the last couple of times that they've seen them. This is going to be a very fun game, and I'm very excited for it. The homecoming for Brian Daboll, the New York Giants coming off their first playoff win in what felt like 200 years. Giants coming to this year optimistic about the future, re-signing Daniel Jones. I don't know how optimistic I personally would be about that, but it's a good time to be a Giants fan, I suppose, compared to what it's been like the last decade or so. That game's going to be a lot more fun than I think meets the eye as well. This game, in my opinion, this could end up being the best home game of the year, potentially. Bills versus Jags. I just think the Jaguars, I don't know if everybody has come around to just how good they really are, how good they can be if they reach their full ceiling. I think the Jaguars are a massive threat this coming year. And if you look at the offense that they have under Trevor Lawrence and a lot of pieces around them that people definitely overlooked, like Zay Jones, Evan Ingram. They got Calvin Ridley coming in off of his suspension. This Jaguars team is not to be messed around with, and I am excited for that game. This is one that I think finds its way into a primetime slot at home for the Bills at some point throughout the year. The Bucs could potentially be the worst team in the NFL this year. I'm not over-exaggerating. They went out, they did the Tom Brady run. They got their Super Bowl, and of course they don't regret it. But as we see, when you do that, you're going to have to pay the bill at some point. And the Bucs are going to pay the bill for that this year, as are the Rams. I mean, we saw a little bit of it last year. They were quite literally the worst defending Super Bowl team in NFL history. I think they bounced back a little bit, but the Rams are going to continuously get worse when those primetime players that won the Super Bowl for them are no longer there, and they've already lost a handful of them as it is. Then you got the AFC East run as usual. Jets, Patriots, Dolphins. I'm imagining one of those games will be primetime at home for the Bills as well. So if we go home on week 2, I'm going to slide in here Bills. So if I do home, I'm not going to put the ad symbol. So home, no ad symbol. I'm going to go Giants week 2. Giants week 2 at home. Brian Daboll back in Buffalo for the first time since moving into the head coaching role with the Giants. And I think that's going to be a fun atmosphere, welcoming back Brian Daboll for a Giants team that they play tough. The Giants are not a great team. They're fringe good if you want to really get down to it. But they play hard. Brian Daboll's got that team playing extremely hard. And you're going to always get their best effort, that's for sure. And I know damn well a Giants team coming into Buffalo with Brian Daboll is going to want to play their best football. So that game is going to be an interesting one. I could see that being slid into a week 2 spot at home, probably mid-afternoon. And a game that I think might be one of the more underrated games on the opponent's list in front of you here. So let's stay home here. Let's go on. We're going to start the year away, and then we're going to do 2 games back-to-back at home. And here's where I'm gonna let's take a look here. Let's take a look at the comments, by the way, see what you guys are thinking. By the way, Donnie, why we play in KC every year? I know there's a reason for it. It's slipping my mind right now. I think it's due to the what the hell is it? I can't even remember. I know there's a reason for it, and it's blank in my mind right now. And it does suck because Bills, the atmosphere in Buffalo for a Chiefs home game would be extraordinary. It would just, I mean, obviously, it would be. And I'm thinking eventually it's going to happen. But like you said, it just feels as though every single year it's Bills in Kansas City. And that's also been the case in the playoffs, too. I think that's why it feels even more so than it really is when it comes to playing the Chiefs. It's just always in Kansas City. So let me know what you think in the comments here, by the way. I'm thinking a back-to-backer here at home. And I don't think they're going to play 2 NFC teams back-to-back at home. So, I think this is where I slide in another AFC East game. At home, we're going to go Dolphins here. I don't know why, but it always feels like the Bills get the Dolphins earlier on in the season. Go Dolphins here, week 3. At home. And, once again, entering into another season where the Dolphins are, I'm sure feeling themselves to some degree. They know what they did to us last year in the playoffs despite losing. They feel it's kind of like how the Bills, and this is how I'm assuming it feels for them. It's not nearly the same thing, but this is how I'm assuming they feel about this. We all remember how the Bills felt losing to the Chiefs in the playoffs. You felt better about the Bills in a loss than you did any other win, really, that whole year. The Bills in that game played their best football, and it was just in a losing effort. So in moving forward, we went into the following season significantly more confident than we would have had the Bills not played a game of that style against the Chiefs. And we went into last year extremely optimistic. I have a feeling that Dolphins fans feel more optimistic after that loss to the Bills with a backup quarterback and a litany of injuries in a game they probably should have won. They're probably feeling pretty confident about themselves coming into this year. We already know that they have pseudo confidence to begin with. That's just who the Dolphins are. They probably feel better about playing the Bills than they would have if that game did not look the way it did. And we all know that game was gross. That game was gross, and not for nothing else. The Bills also lost to the Dolphins last year as well. So, always a good game, really always a great game. And it's one of my favorite rivalries that has, always been around, but seems to get more and more heated. I love it because I just love going against that fan base. They piss me off to no end. I truly cannot stand the Dolphins fan base. So it's one of my favorite 2 weeks of the year playing the Dolphins, just because it's always a riot on social media. And usually we get the last laugh, which makes it that much more fun. So there we go. Dolphins week 2. Or excuse me, week 3. So far we got Jets, primetime, Giants, Dolphins. Now we're going week 4. Okay. Man. I'm going to slide in another primetime game here. Man, there's some crazy good games on here, huh? Tough choice. Let's go at Bengals. So at Bengals, and this is going to be primetime game number 2. That game, like the Chiefs game, just screams an inevitable primetime game. Really don't know how it couldn't be. We all saw the atmosphere as to what that was looking like last year before it got cut short because of the Damar Hamlin incident, and then we saw what happened in the playoffs. This is now becoming an incredibly bitter rivalry, in my opinion. The Bengals are one of those teams now that I view very linear to the Chiefs. I think they're that good. I also think that they are a team that, when playing their best, can beat absolutely anybody in the league. And I also think that when you do look at them at their face value, I just think they're a team that currently on paper is better than the Bills. But it's, of course, any given Sunday, this is the same Bengals team that shouldn't have even really been in a position to play the Bills in the playoffs last year because they should have lost to a Lamar Jackson-less Baltimore Ravens team in the wild card. If it weren't for a god-awful quarterback sneak play from the 5-yard line by the Baltimore Ravens, I think we do not see the Cincinnati Bengals in the playoffs last year. But we did, and they took it to us. And that's going to be on the mind of not just us, but, of course, the Buffalo Bills themselves. That game, that's just one you have circled already before you even see the schedule. That's just a game. You see it on the opponent's list, and you already have that game circled. I cannot wait for that game. So right off the bat, we got 2 primetime games within 4 weeks. And that makes sense because the Bills started off with 2 primetime games back-to-back last year. I could see it being spread out a bit more this year, but I still think you find a way to squeeze the Bills into primetime at least twice within the first 4 weeks or so. Let's go back on the road. We're going to stay on the road, and this is where I see the Bills playing the Commanders. I don't know why. It just feels like a Week 5 game. The Bills have already had 4 games that I think are really, like, as far as viewership is concerned, the first 4 games are great views, right? Obviously, the Jets with their current situation, it's a primetime game. That's a great view. The Giants, they already get a good rating, of course, being a New York team, being an NFC East team. Brian Dable's factor there. The Giants are coming off their best season they've had in quite some time. Good storylines there. The storyline, of course, writes itself for Bills Dolphins. No need to explain that. We already know we get with that. And then there's no better storyline really in the league over the last year and a half or so than Bills versus Bengals. I mean, that's truly becoming one of the best games on the schedule for anybody who loves the NFL, not just fans of the Bills and the Bengals. If you are a fan of the NFL, that's a game you tune into. I mean, for me personally, I know like that game for me every year, that's a guaranteed game, typically in primetime, that I absolutely love tuning into every year is Chiefs Chargers. I don't know why. The Chargers always give them a hell of a game, and they can just never seem to pull it out in the end, but it's always a great game. That game, to me, like if you're an NFL fan, how could you not want to watch Justin Herbert versus Patrick Mahomes? This game, no different. How could you not want to see the Bills play the Bengals? Joe Burrow versus Josh Allen. So, Week 5 at Commanders. So we got 3 road games and 2 home games to start off Week 5 in this prediction. Now, Pokemon Professor coming in saying the Bills and Cowboys will be played on Thanksgiving. I 100% think the Bills are playing on Thanksgiving again this year. I don't see how they couldn't. The ratings have been through the roof. The Bills haven't lost on Thanksgiving. They have beat now in what, 3 consecutive years or 3 out of the last 4 years? I can't remember exactly if it's been 3 consecutive. It feels like it has, but they've beaten the Cowboys, the Saints, and the Lions as of this past year. They 100% will be on Thanksgiving this year, in my opinion. I just see it. Now I'm looking up right now the deal with the London game, because I'm not entirely sure how it works as far as who they're playing. I know that the teams playing in London this season are Bills, Titans, and Jaguars. Now I'm not entirely sure if that means there's 3 different games. It has to, right? The Bills London game will replace one of the team's 9 home games on the 2023 schedule. The Titans, Jaguars, Chiefs, and New England Patriots are among the other teams selected for the international games. Okay, so it'll be one of these home games. It can't be Jacksonville because Jacksonville already has another London game on the schedule. So, let's not do it this early. In a couple of weeks, in a couple of weeks down the list here, we'll do that. When is Thanksgiving this year? Let's see. What? Let me take a look at the schedule here. What week typically, or let me look at the calendar here. What week is Thanksgiving typically? It feels like it's like week 10, maybe. Let's see. So, what date is Thanksgiving this year? So Thanksgiving's November 23rd. And when is the first game? I don't think has that even been announced yet? Okay, September 7th is when they plan to kick the year off. Okay, so September 7th. So let's just do some quick
We got week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, week 5, week 6, week 7, week 8, week 9, week 10, week 11. All right, so pencil that in as week 11 is going to be Thanksgiving. Now let's put that in here right now. Cowboys makes the most sense, right? I'll tell you one alternative I could see to that. I could, for some reason, see the Bills playing the Eagles on Thanksgiving. I don't know why, because then you not only get the Cowboys in another game, but you're able to incorporate the Eagles in there as well. But for safekeeping, let's just do at Cowboys. Oh, wait, no, it can't be the Cowboys. It's a home game. And the Cowboys always play at home on Thanksgiving, so it can't be the Cowboys. I'm going to go with my gut. I'm going to go with my gut at Eagles Thanksgiving. I don't know why. That just makes sense to me. Why not put the Eagles on there? Because it doesn't have to be one of the traditional teams. We saw the Bills play the Saints a couple of seasons back in prime time on Thanksgiving. Something about that just, I don't know why, makes sense to me. And I think, man, you want to talk about not being able to eat during Thanksgiving dinner, though, that's going to be one of those games that I'm not going to be, I'm going to be terrified. I'm going to be terrified. So that's in the books. Okay. So we already have 1, 2, 3, 4 of the away games off the board here. Let's go back home in week 6. And let's play the Raiders in week 6. Raiders week 6. Okay. We got through the first 6 weeks, we have 3 away, 3 home. Now let's go on a bit of a. So we got Raiders week 6. Okay. Week 7. I'm trying to think of when I want to plug that London game in. Who do you think the Bills are going to play in London? That's a good question. Trying to think out of these options. Part of me thinks it's going to be Bills Bucks. Okay, so GQ Bob's got a super chat coming in, and he's saying, don't forget the Bills are in London October 8th. So let's take a look at what week that would be. If the season starts on September 7th, week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4. Okay, so that would be week 4. Good call. So we got to do a little switching up here. So let's move these down. So we'll go Bengals here. So week 4 is in London. I think they're going to play the Bucks in London for some reason. Stevie, Jags can't be in London because they already play another game in London. So Jags are off the table. Although it would make sense because they are London's darling. My gut's telling me Bucks. But they suck, though. Yep. That's why they're going to do it, though, because they suck, and they're going to want the Bills to go and put on a show. Bucks in London. Boom. There it is. Bengals in prime time. Well, then we're going to have to... yeah, that's fine. Raiders, we had them down a bit. We did the Raiders here. We had the Commanders before that. Okay. Moving on. Week 8. Okay, so we have... Let's go Patriots week 8. Patriots at home week 8. All right. Now week 9. Week 9. Let's go at Chargers primetime game 3. By the way, this Thanksgiving game is going to be primetime 4. Okay. And then week 10, so we'll do one homestand before this. We'll do Jets at home. Jets. Okay, so through week 11, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 away games. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 home games, one of them being in London. It's going to be fun as hell to watch the Bills at like 9 a.m. in London. I can't wait for that. I cannot wait for that. That is going to be a blast. All right. So then we got Eagles Thanksgiving. That would be sweet, huh? Now, the bye week will be somewhere in here. I haven't plugged that in yet, but of course, there's going to be a bye week plugged in somewhere into this schedule. So who do we have remaining? Let's cover up the teams that we've already used. And fuck that. That'll take too long. Okay. So we got the Eagles on Thanksgiving, week 12 coming out of that. I'm thinking we're going to be at New England. And I think this is going to be the first time in a while Bills don't play the Patriots in primetime. I just don't think that the Bills Patriots is worthy of primetime. It's not a primetime game to me. I don't see it. At New England. What do we got? We got some asshole in the comments, by the way. I see people going on. By the way, we're just having fun tonight. The main show is going to be Thursday. I actually wasn't even going to do it tonight because I was thinking, all right, let's just postpone it till Thursday. But then I thought, hey, why not just hop on here, have a little fun, do a little predictions, and then we'll try to compare them on Thursday as we start the show up before we get into the schedule. I wish they were doing the schedule tonight, of course. You want to know what they do? They always prolong. I'm shocked it's not being prolonged longer, to be honest. And what I thought they would start doing, and I'm shocked they're not doing this, I thought they would do like, oh, we'll release like one part of the schedule on Monday and then Tuesday and then Wednesday. I hope they don't. Like, I hope we get it right off the bat on Thursday, and then we can just dive right into it right on here. So week 12, we got at Patriots. Okay. Let's jump back home and let's do home Broncos. And I'm thinking that's going to be a primetime game too. Primetime. And that'll be primetime game 5. Let's see here. Chuck coming in here saying any overseas games this year. Yes, Chuck, we're playing in London this year. We're playing in London, which is going to be awesome. Remember a while back, didn't the Bills play in London a long time ago? They played against the Jaguars in London a while back, if I remember correctly. I'd love to be able to go to that. Depends on what's going on, but man, that would be sweet. Broncos primetime week 5. Or week 13. What else is left on the away? Okay, we gotta get another Dolphins game in. Let's go at Dolphins in week 14. I put Caden in timeout. I put him on a timeout. There's a button on here that says timeout. So like a little child. I don't know what he was doing, but it seems like he's pissing you guys off. So Caden's now sitting in the corner. He's on timeout. At Dolphins, week 14. Save it for a little bit of towards the end. As you can see here, I am trying to delay the Chiefs. I think they're going to put the Chiefs later this year to have as much playoff implication scenarios possible for that game. I could see that. So we already got the Jets on here twice, I believe, right? Jets, yep. Dolphins, yep. Patriots, yep. You know what I'm going to do? No, actually, I'm going to wait. You know what I'm noticing? I haven't done any home primetime games. Let's make this Dolphins game primetime up here. We're going to make this a primetime game at home. I'm noticing, I just think it's because I'm leaning towards the away games being better for the, as far as like opponents are concerned. And I'm going to get rid of Broncos. And I just, maybe the Broncos get punished this year for being so bad. Maybe that we take them off of primetime. So that won't be primetime. Still, the Bengals is still going to be primetime to me. Chargers is still going to be primetime. Eagles, yeah. So there's got to be, so let's see. Yeah, the home games to me, I don't know. Oh, well, have I put Jacksonville in here yet? No. All right, I'm going to do a little rearranging. No prime time for the Chargers. Let's get rid of that. No prime time at Chargers. Okay. Got rid of that. Eagles. So that's 4. Now let's do Jaguars is at home. That's going to be prime time. And looking back up here, I'm going to flop out Patriots, put them back here at week 16. So I'm realizing by the time we get to that point, we don't want the Chiefs to be that late. The NFL is not going to want that because if there's already clinches or there's injuries by then, they're going to want to avoid that. Week 8, that seems like it could be possible. So let's do at Chiefs. Either way you look at it, though, I'm thinking based on the way that this schedule has fallen from the home and away, that the primetime games for the Bills are going to be primarily on the road. I just think that's the way I see it based on the schedule, just based on who they're playing. So that's 6. I got 6, and I think all 6 of these games would be worthy of a primetime. Jets, right? Dolphins, that just seems like it could be one. But Bengals, absolutely. Chiefs, absolutely. I got a feeling the Eagles seems like a given. And the Jaguars seems like it could be a really good one, too. Now, as we roll out the end of the year here, who have we not played yet? Who have I not put on here yet? Let's see. Just realizing this was way tougher than I thought it was going to be. Who have I not put on here yet? We got the Patriots twice, don't we? Do we not? Yeah, we got them. Cowboys. That's who I haven't put on here. Yeah, you know what? Let's flop week 10 Jets. We're going to put the Cowboys there. Jets should be later on in the year. We'll do Jets here. There we go. That's looking a little bit more likely. Actually, let's put Jets. Yeah, no, let's leave that. Week 18. Who's the last team I didn't put in there? Broncos got them, right? Raiders got them. Cowboys got them. Giants, yep. Jaguars, yep. Bucks in London. Jets got them twice. Patriots got them twice. The bye week. I knew that was going to come back to bite me when I put week 18 in there. Yes, the bye week. All right, here's the prediction. Now, this was just a fun prediction for tonight before we get into Thursday. And let me remind you again, if you weren't here at the top of the show, Thursday night, that's this week's real smoke break. Thursday night, we're going to get into it as long as we have to. Thursday night, we are going to, right here, live on the Buffalo Fanatics YouTube channel. We are going to watch the release of the schedule together, and then we are going to immediately put the schedule up here and break it all down week by week, take a look at who the Bills are playing in prime time, how the schedule is laid out, if we think it's top heavy, back loaded, if it's a good mix, when the bye week is. There's going to be so much to unpack. I can't wait. So that's going to be Thursday night. But in the meantime, this is my prediction, and we'll see how close, or if close at all, I got on Thursday. My goal was to get at least 2 of the primetime games right. Or no, I should scratch that. My goal was to get at least half the primetime games right. So I got 6 here. My goal is to get at least 3 of these primetime games right as far as like when they fall in the schedule and then who they're against. So as we got it here, week 1 and going down, we got Jets primetime, Giants, Dolphins primetime, Bucks, the team we play in London, Bengals in primetime, Commanders, Raiders, Chiefs in primetime, Chargers, Cowboys, Eagles, Thanksgiving. That was my out on the limb pick. That just feels right. Man, that just seemed like it'd be a hell of a matchup for a Thanksgiving day. Then Pats, Broncos, Dolphins, Jags in primetime towards the end of the year, and then you round out Patriots and Jets. The one thing I do like about this one, even though this is kind of a little all over the place, I do like how the primetime games are laid out. They're kind of evenly spaced. You have the two, you're kind of heavy up at the top, but then as the year goes on, you're kind of playing in primetime like once every 3 weeks, which I think is perfect. I like when you space it out. I don't particularly love having like back-to-back-to-back primetime games. We've seen that happen on a few occasions with these Bills. So I absolutely love having them spaced out. I do hope for that this year, although I do think when we get into the beginning of the season, I think that's when we see probably the most of the prime time. So that was it for tonight. Just a quick one tonight. Like I said, I wasn't even sure if I was going to do this one tonight because I wanted to save it for Thursday, but I'm like, screw it. It's Monday. I'm not doing anything. Let's hop on the smoke break, do a little prediction, and then let you guys know that Thursday, that's going to be the banger. Thursday night, I'll tweet out all the details. You'll see it here on YouTube. Thursday night. Be here. I'm going to try to get all the boys too. I already invited everybody. Rico, Rev, Pierre, who knows? I don't know what they got going on, but hopefully they join. The invite's being extended, but that night, Thursday night, the schedule gets released and we're going to break it all down right here on the Buffalo Fanatics YouTube channel. And I can't wait. Like I said, one of the more underrated days of the NFL calendar, the schedule release. Cannot wait to check it out with you guys. So I'll see you there Thursday night, same place you're at right now. Until then, enjoy the rest of your week, and I will see you for a special Thursday night smoke break. Go Bills!